Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff, Needell and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Lovecars on the Grid, your global motorsport podcast roundup. Now, if you can see this on YouTube, if you're not listening in the traditional podcast way, you'll see a very suntan Tiff Needell showing off with a blue sky, which means you're not in the UK because we've had horrific weather over here. Where are you, Tiff?
I'm with the Motor Passion team out with our guests in Daytona Beach, Florida. Actually, we're in New Smyrna Beach. We had a wonderful weekend. Of course, watched the race yesterday. Went to a Saturday night track, New Smyrna Speedway, for one of the stars of NASCAR raced in the Saturday night race. They're amazing. Then goes off to didn't have a very good race, but apart from that, and yeah, wonderful. We're going out on little boats, those pontoon boats. We're taking the guests out for a trip up the waterway. So having a wonderful time here in Daytona Beach.
Meanwhile, little birdie's told me that your house in the UK with your lovely wife and family has had no power for a while. Meanwhile, living the dream.
It's not going well, Paul. Yeah, I'm not going down well, that, Paul. Just keep quiet about the fact that I'm out here in the sunshine.
For those of you that are listening or watching from outside the UK, welcome to you all. And we've had some horrific weather over the last few days. So Tiff has picked the best time ever, arguably, to go away. Anyway, without further ado, this is not on motor racing, not on weather. We're going to kick off with some breaking news. Well, it's not really breaking. Last week's news, FIA finally come to their senses. Michael Masi's gone, which means they've admitted defeat, which means, or they admitted they've made a mistake, which means surely they're going to change the result.
No, they can't.
No, they're not.
Well, I mean, for me, that year will always, in my books, is going to have, Lewis, Max Verstappen 1 world title, in brackets none, and Lewis Hamilton 7 world titles, in brackets 8. I think, everybody's going to think that was a moral victory. But anyway, we have to, but I mean, it's crazy. We had this, I can't call it a Sky cover up, but the general media, we talked about Brundle and Martin and Damon, saying, they blamed it on being such a tough job and who else would do it. Well, amazingly, they've not found one other person that can do it. They found 2 people that can do the job. I think it's alternate week races, I think, so it's not too stressful. Is that what I've understood? I haven't read all the detail. But yeah, Masi had to go. Why they just didn't say that straight away? It was never an option, I don't think.
I feel sorry for Michael Masi, I have to say, but he monumentally messed up. And I think what you said, Tiff, was when you called out, I think, Karun or one of the guys on Sky Sports, you said, so what happens if Michael Masi's ill? Do we call off the Formula One? And my favourite line that I love this line: the graveyard is full of indispensable people. We all think we're indispensable, but of course, life goes on. And they've done the right thing. They've sent a positive message. Get rid of Masi. There is an asterisk next to Max Verstappen. He was the better driver over the season. However,
I don't agree with that. You say that. I would even agree with that. I thought the way Hamilton came back over the last 5 Grand Prix, that chase to break down the deficit. I know obviously the Verstappen fans will say Silverstone robbed Max of a maximum score, but then we'll say Spa gave Max a win in his record books, which probably wasn't really a win, and it's the whole year. But to me it came down to that one last race, winner takes all, and on that day Hamilton and Mercedes were doing a better job than Max and Red Bull, and
Mercedes won the way. Hamilton and Mercedes AMG won that race. It was a done deal. There was absolutely no question until Masi's intervention.
I'm sure Michael Masi's still got a very nice job, but he's obviously very liked, and this is obviously something that comes out. I think this is why Martin and people, because they had dinner with him all year long, and he's obviously a very likable human being. But that doesn't mean to say he can keep his job.
Yeah, and we'd love to know in the comments below, if you are watching on YouTube. If you're not, please get amongst it. But who's going to be 1, 2, 3 in the this time next year, or certainly?
I wouldn't put any money on anybody. The sort of the Brawn era is still there in the back of everyone's mind. That he came out with that trick aerodynamics that won the title for Button. So it could be anyone. Ferrari could suddenly, but they've changed their engine a bit. Ferrari we've developed the engine as well as the new thing. So who knows? It could be Ferrari domination all year. It's really intriguing. Because the test is coming up this week, isn't it? Where nobody can see and no film will be shown.
Why is that?
What day of the week does it start? Is it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's Wednesday, isn't it? I'm not sure actually.
Good. I'm glad you got your finger on the pulse. Right? So I left you in charge of getting your fingers on the pulse.
Well, I did watch some.
I wrote down the
Extreme
dates.
E.
I wrote down the dates on my bit of paper actually. 23rd to 25th.
Okay.
When's that? Friday, Saturday, Sunday? I don't know. When's the 23rd?
Wednesday. Yeah, that's right.
When's Thursday, Friday? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Formula One cars will emerge.
But nobody's allowed to watch. Why is that? Why don't they let the public there anymore?
I think the thing is, it's that flipping Netflix. You know, they've got their next film, and they'll use footage of those 3 days maybe to launch the other things, so nobody else would have seen film of the new cars running around. You know, so they've kept it
rubbish. You're wrong. I know you like to be right all the time, but you're wrong this time. It's not to do with Netflix. I don't know what it's to do with. And it's very interesting with still Lewis fans, and I'm a Lewis fan. I think you're a Lewis fan as well, but still a Lewis fan saying that we should be boycotting lap 58 and should be awarded it. It's still going to go. A lot of people are saying they're going to boycott watching Formula One. I don't believe it. Because if you're a Lewis fan, you're going to keep watching.
Well, yeah, it's even more intriguing now. You know, the comeback. No, I'm really looking forward to the season starting. It's all over us now. It's gone. And to me, it was just Masi had to go. It was all I was really worried about. You know, we were never going to get the result changed. It would always be an anomaly. You can't say that's a horrible word, anomaly. So anyway, I was delighted to be over in America while this was all still kicking off and watching the Daytona. What a race it is. I mean, there's a lot of boring. There was one set, about half an hour, they all went single file. You know, nobody's racing anybody. They're waiting, they're plotting. We had Jacques Villeneuve at the back of the pack, which was quite interesting. Because the great thing about NASCAR is even when it's boring, we've all got these radio sets. You can pick any car number, listen in to all the conversations with their spotters and the drivers. You know, the truck race on Friday night, they're virtually being driven by the spotter. You've got these 19-year-old kids, in their first Daytona. And stay low here. And I know what I'm doing. Listen to me, the spotter would say. I know what I'm doing. You stay in line there. And they coached them all the way around. And so it was great to hear Villeneuve being told what to do and listen to all the tactical debate between the driver going at 200 miles an hour, calmly talking about, well, we need a bit less push. And how's the high line moving? There's a high line moving better than the low line. And of course, the Novies and the Jets and the anthems. It's a wonderful
event. We don't see all that on TV. We just see quite a procession. Often.
So, truck's leaving if you hear a noise as a truck.
Okay, well, often we just see a bit of a procession. Because you've got a bit of a cheek, really, because you call a lot of these sports boring, these motor race boring, but NASCAR doesn't strike me as being the most exciting. But there were some massive crashes I did see. There was one particular one. Oh, it looked horrific. But did you actually see that?
That was the last lap, but we didn't see that. That was the Saturday night race, the Xfinity series, up into the fence, and ripping the car apart. But there was plenty of crashes right in front of us. Sort of 20 cars going by, all facing different directions after slamming the wall. So the fact that it's sort of boring in the middle is almost why the tension then begins to ramp up, because with 20 laps to go or 30 laps to go, they all start manoeuvring towards the front. They take more risky, lane changes, last-minute lane changes to get into a quicker moving lane. And it just builds up. By the end, you're all on your seats and standing up, and you know that someone's going to crash. You're just wondering when, where. Yeah, it's a fabulous atmosphere.
And what happened in the main race?
It's a nice place to be in February with the blue sky and a suntan. So wonderful. What did you have over in Europe? You had
tell me what happened. Well, it's not me. Tell the listeners and the viewers what happened in the main race and who took the victory.
It was this Cindric kid. Funny enough, it's the number 2. He took over from Keselowski, who left the factory Penske team. And most of the race, it was a battle between Keselowski, now in his own team Ford, the number 6, against his old car with this rookie Cindric in it. And but then when Keselowski went out on one of the taps, and he then had his teammate Ryan Blaney, pushing him. So Blaney, who's been in the team for a long time, is pushing the rookie and so it's a team effort, but he wants to win. There's no holds barred at the end. So you're all thinking, how on earth? Because they just sit there, his nose is in his friend's bonnet. Next to him in the lane inside is another guy with a nose in the boot, bumper to bumper. And that lane's going half a mile an hour faster and creeping by. And, they then drop down to try and side draft to get a little bit more, half a mile an hour more. Basically, Blaney pushed Cindric around the last lap. But right towards the line, he tried to pull out to win it for himself, but then Cindric, the rookie, came up and blocked his more experienced teammate, sent him smashing into the wall at 200 miles an hour. And then Bubba Wallace came through to have a very popular second place. The guy, who was the guy in the 14? You do numbers in America, the 14 car. This guy spun out, was the first to spin out on the third or fourth lap and go a lap down. And he ends up being in third place, right behind the winners. You can come down back from being laps down by using safety cars. And it was great.
Good. I'm glad you had a good time, and you're looking very, very healthy, very red, lobster red. Not much in Europe, but Tiff, to answer your question, but there was Extreme E in Saudi Arabia, which I watched quite a lot of. It was the Desert Prix or E-Prix or whatever they call it.
All I read was it ended with a red flag. Well, they were all crashing into each other.
It didn't end with a red flag. It had a red flag in the final because the McLaren, the American Tanner Faust. Tanner Faust, yeah. He had a big crash, went up the back of somebody, just couldn't see, completely blindsided with all the
same problem, because the Saudi was the track where they couldn't race because there was so much dust. Did they do anything about the dust this year then?
They didn't. I know you said that they were going to look at maybe hosing all down. It's a monumental task, but there was racing. There was some good racing, but sadly the racing is a bit like lots of modern day racing now, where it's spread out and then you have a few seconds of racing and then kind of that's it. Then you seem to be spread out over several seconds. They've got this hyperdrive thing as well, which is really confusing to keep on top of.
Wall to wall, still nice loud commentary keeping you awake. Was it from wall to wall?
I don't mind the commentary. It's funny. I know that once you've got something in your head, I know with what it's like, it's sort of, you notice it even more, but I didn't really notice it. A couple of times the commentators would say, this is an impossible place to overtake. There's no overtaking here. And then they would overtake. You think, oh, well, I didn't expect that overtake. But it was really entertaining. I felt
entertained by Extreme E.
Not really. I think it looks spectacular. I felt that I do think that it's getting more exciting. I felt for the drivers because they had to really push it. And when a track starts rutting up, and then once you get in one of those ruts, there's a couple of people that had some pretty bad crashes, overturn the cars. Because once you get into that rut, you can't get out. And you've done that. I think you've done it before. You've
got those big balloon tires,
Yeah, exactly. But it was entertaining. Mercedes did very well until the final, and then, as I just said, Tanner Faust went up the back of somebody. But it just seems. I'll tell you what seems funny to me. Carlos Sainz, one of the best rally drivers of all time, but if you're showing a sport, the epitome, the best, because they're really cool cars, amazing locations. Carlos Sainz is one of the best drivers of all time, but he's a bit like you. He's knocking on a little bit. And I'm not ageist at all because I still think you're one of the best drivers out there in terms of drifting and messing around. But it just seems like you wouldn't have him in a Formula One race. You wouldn't have him in a Formula E race. You wouldn't have him. And it's not being ageist, but it just seems to me that maybe they're just getting the people in because they've got a bit of a following, perhaps.
Well, if those rallycross drivers seem to be the quickest ones, so the Scandinavian rallycross boys seem to be the quickest.
Yeah, and it was won by the X11.
Yeah, the reigning champion. Remember, it was won by Rosberg again, wasn't it? With the same, but they swapped ladies. They changed Molly Taylor.
Molly Taylor, yeah.
They're out. But I thought, man, she's got a drive with Button team now. I think so. She's got another drive. So it was an all Swedish driver lineup, wasn't it? But they lucked into the win. I sort of got the feeling.
I don't know. I mean, it was all sort of. There was lots of different changes, but it used to be about whoever got in front first, and it wasn't so much about that this time, which I was quite impressed with. So it wasn't just about who got in front won the race, because that's just awful from the start. And no, it wasn't luck. I think they did very well, but I think that the chap Christopherson, he was just phenomenal, and he just really gung ho and managed to pull it off. So it was entertaining. It was entertaining. It's just too spread out and just it's hard to cover. But they do a very good job. But it's just not quite hitting that button for me. But give me that over NASCAR.
What?
That's controversial. Okay, not the blue skies. Yeah, they had blue skies in Saudi Arabia as well. I don't know. Maybe we need to go to one. I've tried to contact Extremely.
How many spectators were live watching Extremely? How many spectators were there at the circuit, at the desk?
I think I saw 3.
Whereas we had about 200,000 going mental. I've guessed that number completely, by the way, but it was big. I mean, just a huge, huge crowd. It was, as I said, they're all standing up when they go around. When they start, it's just an epic day's entertaining race.
Well, America do things very well.
A bit boring.
Yeah. America do things very well with the whole spectacle, with the like you said, the razzmatazz, the jets, the fireworks, the bands and everything. So they do things very well.
I saw the kids were racing in the Middle East. They finished off their weekends. I got the results of that. I saw on Tinternet. Because Charlie Wirtz, son of Alexander Wirtz, won the Formula 4 UAE. I saw. Aidan Neat, our British boy, ended up 3rd in the championship. And what was the other one? The regional European Formula. Who won that title? Oh, Arthur Leclerc won it, didn't he? The brother of. Oh. So funny, 2 racing families, both won each championship. The Wirtzes won in Formula 4 and the Leclercs won in Formula Regional. Oliver Behrman finished, he didn't know it, that was 6th, was his best on British Hope. But so that all concluded. There was some European Le Mans series, I mean Asian Le Mans, but I didn't get the results of that. Did you? Didn't notice any no news on that.
Time to move swiftly on. But I think given that you haven't even got headphones on and a microphone, I think we should maybe look at just having a bit of a preview for next week, and then next week we'll go full on it, because we'll have Formula 1, we'll have IndyCar. What else is coming up for next week, Tiff?
World Rally Championship Sweden, cheering on Elfyn Evans, and of course the Irish boy. So yeah, World Rally Championship Sweden, but NASCAR of course has another race straight away. They race every weekend till November, apart from 2 weekends. But yeah, I think IndyCar at St. Petersburg is my highlight of the weekend. But the Formula 1 testing, obviously, I'd love to watch. I mean, we've been reading about it all. And of course, the World Rally is more watching the evening highlights of the day, isn't it? So the only real live motorsport will be the IndyCar at St. Petersburg and NASCAR at Fontana, both of which, of course, you've got to subscribe. Well, the IndyCar is going to be on Sky, I presume. I haven't looked that up. They did it the last few years, so I'm presuming the IndyCar will be on Sky.
We'll have a look. We'll maybe try and put it in the comments below.
So yeah, masses to talk about. Next year, in a week's time, we've got almost too much to talk about. Anyway, I've got to catch a boat and go for a cruise down the waterways from New Smyrna Beach to Daytona.
I've got to go fix some fencing panels, put some roof tiles back up on the roof. It's been horrific here. Enjoy your day. Thanks for joining us always. See you next week.
Cheers, bye.